That's what happens if I try to move the mouse off the screen. It doesn't let me, which is good, but also doesn't quite know how to handle it. It is indeed Yao Fox, and greetings, by the way. One Shot was an excellent experience we had on this stream. Well, that's kind of loud. Alright. Oh, the audio of this game is gonna do that if we tab out, huh? Well, I mean, that's good to know. I don't think it's saved by audio settings, maybe, but let's go about there. But there's our one-shot playthrough, nicely edited for YouTube, if you want to catch it at some point. We did some interesting things and had quite an experience with it there. Bill, wake up! The carriage is on fire!
The carriage is on fire!
Oh, that's voice themselves, okay.
That's only funny when I do it to you.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
Bit too much Bollingworth ale is all. That stuff really creeps up on you.
Sorry I couldn't join you, but I was long overdue for a quiet night in with Addie.
That's fine. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Hell, maybe Adelaide can even join us. It's been ages since she last drank me under the table.
Afraid she mostly sticks to tea these days.
Miles, what exactly is it we're looking into? I may have dozed off during the briefing.
Greetings, Spherical. Hey there, Beefy Jaguar.
Honestly, Bill, one of these days Snelling's gonna notice.
No, he won't. Why do you think they put him behind a desk? The man couldn't find his own backside with a pair of pliers and a lantern.
Very funny. Anyway, it's a burglary at the Hambrook Flower Shop.
A burglary, eh? How dull. At least we'll have enough time to get a drink afterwards.
You seem awfully certain of that.
I am. In fact, I'd bet the devil my head that we're done within the hour.
Well, the devil's gonna be disappointed that his winnings are so meager. Ah, we've arrived. After you, Bill.
The city of New Bretagne. Borough of, Shalmondelli?
Thank you. Keep the change.
What is this, like, disco dancer?
Our night of excitement begins.
You, more than anyone else, should know that there's rarely a dull night in Chumley.
I have a feeling tonight will be the exception. Until we get to the pub, that is.
Keep your mind on the case, Bill. Now let's get a move on.
Chumley? That's at least 2 syllables fewer than that word should be. Yeah, okay, Raving Man. That's what I was gonna say. I immediately want to look at the Raving Man.
He's just pacing back and forth, muttering to himself.
Probably one of the patients from Riverview. Seems like there's more of them on the streets than in the asylum these days.
An all too common sight in this part of town.
Sad to say, it hasn't really changed much since I was a boy.
Let's see. Well, this is a game we want the voices to be fairly loud so we can hear them, so I guess this is probably about appropriately volumed.
Glad this thing is lit. This isn't really the type of place I'd prefer to be at this time of night.
Don't worry, Miles. I've got your back.
I can't believe that thing made it all the way across the Atlantic in less than a week.
Don't scoff at the future, Miles. Pretty soon, we'll all be riding those things to work.
Especially considering Prince Harold is their big celebrity passenger. Looks like they've had some trouble with vandalism.
Pretty much every business in this part of town has.
That reminds me, I should pick up a bouquet for Addie when we're done here.
Seems like you've been spending more time with me than with her lately. I sure hope she's not the jealous type.
Go inside. Is there anything?
Certainly looks cozy in there.
Plants have a nice way of doing that.
Anything else we care about here? Seems to be trash can. Oh,
Fordham, what are you doing?
I was gonna check inside this trash can for clues.
Miles, in the 15 years we've been partners, how many times have you found something inside a trash can that wasn't garbage?
Fair point. No point wasting time searching through a dirty old trash can.
You finally learned. I'm so proud.
No point.
but I want to visit the trash can anytime I would like. Let's see. This is HCO and green. Green, maybe? Well, there's another homeless person.
Poor fellow. Looks like the streets are his bed tonight.
Better than jail, I suppose.
He'd at least get fed in jail.
True enough.
But what about burgers? I mean, that's just a valid point. You gotta check trash cans because there might be burgers inside.
Come on, Bill.
Charming little place, isn't it?
Charming, but empty. We need to find the owner.
Always so to the point, Fordham. If ever there was a better time to stop and smell the flowers.
I think I'll leave that to you, Bill.
With my allergies? Hardly.
Plants hanging on hooks. Nice space-saving method.
I'd probably bang my head against them constantly if I had them in my apartment.
These prices are pretty reasonable. The place I'd go in Worcester's clearly robbing me blind.
If you think those are bad, don't go near the flower shops in Lyon.
Freaking British town names and their pronunciations that have 2 or 3 syllables fewer than it feels like they should.
This is quite the selection. Come over here and take a whiff, Bill.
Sure, if you don't mind me getting snot all over your coat.
Oh, no, not the Myers case all over again. On second thought, you can just stay over there. Not too many left. Seems business isn't so bad around here.
Well, you know what they say. There are only 3 certainties in life. Death, taxes, and people taking advantage of sales.
This is quite the selection. Oh, on second... You seem to be part of the watering system for the flowers.
I haven't seen old piping like this in a while. Seems like someone's reluctant to upgrade.
Mostly a bunch of fertilizer and growth tonics.
Growth tonics, eh?
Plant growth tonics, Bill.
Of course. I knew that.
That is the adventure game. Oh god, is that one too? Is that not Piccadilly? Slug? It's, I guess it would only be like 2 syllables, right? It'd be, Pickad? It'd be like, Piccadilly? I can't even, like, make it 2 syllables. Even, like, as a joke. My brain doesn't want to...
thought again, eh, Fordham?
I'm talking about city names. Calm down.
Be right there. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I must say you caught me by surprise. I was preparing to close soon. May I help you find anything? The flowers in the center display are half price this week, and I have a special on chrysanthemums today. Or perhaps a custom bouquet for the special ladies in your lives?
I have no need myself, but maybe Adelaide would appreciate a little something. Eh, Miles? Those peonies in the corner look nice.
I'm afraid we're not here as customers tonight, ma'am. We'd like to have a word with the proprietor. Is he in?
I see. I'm Cecilia Handbook, and this is my shop. What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I'm Detective Miles Fordham, and this is my partner, William Legere. We received a report of a burglary at your store.
A report? From whom? I never contacted the police before, and I didn't this time, either.
It was made anonymously, but are you saying this isn't the first time it's happened?
Correct. It's happened 3 times. But considering the police hardly care about the daily muggings and vandalisms around here, I didn't think they would be interested in something so trivial.
Well, we're here now, and we'll do all we can to help you.
We'll have to see about that.
If you wouldn't mind, Mrs. Sandbrook, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Very well, Detective.
Thanks for that, Anvar Informal. Okay, she's blinking too. I thought only we were blinking at first. I was like, how unnerving is this?
Could you give me the details concerning the burglaries?
About 3 weeks ago on Monday, I noticed that my order of Easter lilies was missing. At first, I thought nothing of it. Sometimes certain types of flowers are unavailable or arrive in poor condition. These things happen. Then 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, it happened again. But this time, I noticed something rather odd.
Go on.
When I opened the shop, there were 6 crowns and 10 shillings on the counter. That's exactly the cost of 2 orders of lilies. Last Friday, it happened yet again. The lilies were missing, and there was payment for 1 order on the counter. I believe that someone has been breaking into my shop after hours, taking the lilies, and leaving money behind.
How unusual.
Oh man, we've got a clue. So they're just buying them, but via break-in, huh?
Have you noticed any suspicious characters lurking around?
Detective Fordham, this is Chumley. You can't throw a stone without hitting a suspicious character. And if you've noticed my window, you'd be aware that stones get thrown around quite a bit in this neighborhood. If you're looking for trouble, you're far more likely to find it out there than in here.
I meant if you'd seen anyone out of the ordinary near your shop.
Only the 2 men from the police who entered it tonight. That is most definitely out of the ordinary.
Rude.
So this burglar has been paying for the stolen goods?
That would appear to be the case, yes. I really don't think this could even be considered a crime. That's one of the reasons I didn't bother reporting it to the police.
And the other reasons?
Oh, I think I've already made those quite clear, Detective.
Have you found any evidence of a break-in?
No, the front door is always locked. My assistant Trevor and I are the only ones with the key.
Are there any other points of access to the building?
The upstairs windows, I suppose, but I make sure to keep them locked, and neither of them have been broken.
Would you allow us to have a look upstairs?
Is that really necessary? I was just about to close up the shop.
It won't take but a moment.
Fine, I suppose you may, but please, don't dally too long.
Clue. Or objective, rather.
You mentioned your assistant has the other shop key. What can you tell me about him?
His name is Trevor Hastings, and he has been working for me for the past 10 years.
Do you trust him?
Implicitly. I've known him for ages, and he has been my full-time assistant since shortly after my husband died. You're not suggesting he had anything to do with this, are you?
Not at all. I would like to speak with him, though. Where might I find him?
It's Friday, so he should be on his way back from the docks right now. He'll be bringing my flower order within the hour.
Good. We'll meet him here, then. If that's all right with you.
I suppose I don't really have much of a choice, do I?
Have you been in business long?
Yes, I opened this shop 30 years ago, along with my late husband, David. But the past 10 years, I've been running things on my own.
Don't you feel unsafe being here by yourself so late into the night?
Detective, when you've lived in this part of town as long as I have, it takes quite a lot to scare you.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Alright, we can go upstairs. Oh, I see.
Interesting choice of decor in here.
Perhaps it wasn't always used as a storeroom, although I can understand why it would have been converted.
Yeah, it is rather drafty in here.
A rather distinguished-looking gentleman.
Reminds me of Captain Snelling, if he ever smiled.
I would imagine that keeping a consistent temperature in here is important for the flowers.
When do you suppose this contraption was last serviced?
Hard to say. Definitely not recently, if the dust buildup is any indication.
More pictures.
Pastoral landscape. Definitely nowhere near here.
I've never much understood art, but it would be nice to see a place like that in person.
The window latch. Securely locked. This provides a means of escape from the top floor, or access to this window from the ground. Interesting. There's a gap between the window and the frame here. No wonder it's so drafty in this room. I wonder.
What are you thinking, Fordham?
That it's time for an experiment. I'm going to need a tool, however. Something long and thin should do the trick.
Shouldn't be too hard to find something like that around here.
Alright. We need a screwdriver, or, well, I guess this is older, so no credit card.
A young lady. Perhaps a relation of Mrs. Hanbrook?
I can see the resemblance. Sort of.
Seems to be the broken pot storage area.
Why not just throw them away, I wonder?
It's likely they're going to be repaired. I noticed some faint cracks in some of the pots downstairs.
Device.
I've seen this type of device before. It's a special container for growing plants. Specific temperature and water conditions can be adjusted. Seems to be empty right now, though. And judging by the dust, it hasn't been used in a long time, if ever.
It seems Mrs. Hanbrook isn't too fond of steam tech, or just doesn't understand it.
Unmarked, but if the smell is anything to go by, this is where the flowers are stored when delivered.
I'll keep my distance then.
I don't think this window would serve as a viable means of entry.
It's a nice view, though. You can hardly see the vomit and manure piles on the street from up here.
Always gotta be start. I mean, that's like another prereq of adventure game dialogue, right? It's gotta be snarky. It's important. We don't appear to have. I mean, we could double check
Seems to be
things.
Why not?
It's like
Anything else we can do?
fascinating device, although it has nothing to do with the burglaries. A young lady.
I can
A rather.
remind.
I would imagine that hard to say.
No, this seems like they said around here, implying like here, but I guess it's not here. Hotspot icons will change when new interactions are available. Oh, okay. What are hotspot icons? You got a screwdriver? I'm gonna ring the bell.
Yes, I'm right here. There's really no need to ring that bell when I'm standing here. It was funny the first time, Detective, but now it's starting to wear thin. Detective, please. Ah!
You've had your fun, Fordham. Best to knock it off and get back to business.
Did you see her face? You got a
I have a few more
screwdriver?
questions for
Very well, Detective. If
Mrs. Hanbrook. Were you aware that there's a gap in the frame of the small upstairs window?
is there? I only go up there to check that the window is locked. I've never noticed a gap. Are you suggesting that's how the burglar is entering the store?
It's a distinct possibility, but I have yet to figure out exactly how.
Well, I trust you'll come to a satisfactory conclusion, Detective.
I think that's all the information I...
All right.
But do we have to like wander around? I don't know the timing, like if timing matters or not. It usually doesn't, but sometimes it does. I don't see anything else we could use as a small flat object, though. Meh. Maybe the raving man has something.
Probably one of the patients.
He's just
Probably.
Let's check the trash can again.
No point wasting...
You find.
We can't do anything else out here.
Bill, could I have a word?
What's on your mind, Fordham?
Oh man.
The gap in the window upstairs is intriguing.
Do you think it might be the point of entry?
Indeed. I just need to find something long and thin to confirm my theory.
I think you were born with something like that, Miles.
You're disgusting, Bill.
I know. That's why I always do the dirty work.
I'll check that, Draco.
What's your impression of dear old Mrs. Hanbrook?
I like her. Good old-fashioned, tough-as-nails Chumley woman. Reminds me of my mother.
Your mother was never quite so stubborn. Why do you suppose she's so reluctant to accept our help?
It's a chum thing, Miles. You wouldn't understand.
How is that possibly pronounced Chumley? I stand that.
You ever miss living out here, Bill?
About as much as you missed stepping in that pile of horseshit last week.
I was distracted by that story you were telling me about your sister. How's she doing out west, anyway?
Well, she's not in the chum, so fantastic. Living here was about as fun as wearing a vest made of meat to a dogfight. I'm glad we both managed to get out. Oh, and by the way, Miles, you didn't do such a great job of cleaning your shoes.
That would explain all the funny looks I've been getting.
Also, wouldn't his metaphor mean he did miss it? Because he said, like, he missed it about as much as I missed stepping in the poop. But apparently I did step in the poop, so that means he missed it, right? That's how that would work?
I've heard of honor among thieves, but have you ever known a thief to pay for stolen goods?
Perhaps conducting normal business is just too boring for him. Do you think he might be doing it for the thrill?
There could be any number of reasons. The best way to find out is to catch the culprit and ask him ourselves. Still feeling rough, Bill?
Yes, but I'll feel better once his case is finished and we can go down to the Angel for a pint or four.
Hair of the dog?
No better medicine.
When's the last time you took any time off?
That's a good question. What year is this again?
I think we've both been working a bit too much lately. Addie's been wanting to go visit her mother in Dixie. Maybe we can all go.
That sounds nice, but I wouldn't want to be a third wheel on a visit to your in-laws. Unless... Would Adelaide's brother be there by any chance?
You're incorrigible, Bill.
It's one of my finer qualities.
Got any opinions on the upcoming election?
I'll just be glad when it's all over. Seems like the last few months have been nothing but people giving opinions and telling me what to do without a moment's peace.
I know what you mean. I already saw some kids putting up Atwood posters down my street.
I already drew mustaches in all the ones on my street.
Handlebar?
Yeah, you know me too well.
I always thought of Atwood as more of a Van Dyke type of man myself.
I can see that. Yeah. Well, there's something to do tomorrow.
Just
Let's
the
get back to-
mustaches. What is this horrible noise? It's like a werecat.
Aha! This hook is exactly what I need. Mrs. Hanbrook, may I borrow this hook for a few minutes? It's crucial to our investigation.
Is that so?
Yes. I promise I'll put it back as soon as I'm done.
Please do, Detective.
Good. Bill, it's time for our experiment.
And what is this experiment going to be exactly?
Simple. I'm going to see if this hook can get me inside the shop. Rather dark out here.
Watch your step, then. This experiment of yours isn't worth a broken neck.
I'll be fine. Now then, could you please close and lock the window, Bill?
Oh, do I have to do something? Oh, there we go.
Well, I'd say this is fairly incontrovertible proof that the building can easily be broken into without arousing suspicion.
Where'd you learn how to do that, anyway?
You taught me, remember?
Nah. Are you sure it was me?
Positive. We were a few pints in at the Angel about 5 years ago, and you decided I should learn how to pick locks.
What else have I taught you how to do while drunk?
That would be telling.
Ah, Trevor.
Evening, Cecilia. I've got the order ready to bring in.
Trevor, these are Detectives Fordham and Leger. They say there's been a report about the burglaries, and they're here investigating.
I only did it because I think it's been going on too long. As much as you want to, we can't handle this ourselves.
We can discuss the matter later. In the meantime, the detective would like a word with you.
I'll be needing to bring in the flowers first, if that's all right. Otherwise, some hooligan's likely to run off with them.
My partner will keep an eye on your flowers. Bill, would you mind?
Ah, the glamour of police work.
Get out of here, Bill.
Now, Mr. Hastings, if I could ask you a few questions?
Go on, then.
Could you walk me through the process of your deliveries?
Of course. There's no great science to it. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, Cecilia gives me her list of flowers to pick up from the wholesalers. I head over to Gascon around sunset when they get their shipment, and I give them her order. They load up the crate, I pay for it, and then I lug it back here.
How long does that take?
Between moving the crate and getting it across the river on the ferry, a couple of hours. Usually the store's closed by then, so I use my key to get in and leave the crate inside for Cecilia to open in the morning. That's all there is to it. Told you it wasn't very complicated.
Do you ever leave the crate unattended during that time?
No, sir. Never more than a minute. I may be old, but I got good eyes. I'd see if there were anything amiss. Besides that, I check to make sure the crate is still sealed when I drop it off. I'm not about to let Cecilia down by being careless.
Objective added for that? Okay.
How long have you been working for Mrs. Hanbrook?
Been about 10 years now, I reckon. I used to help with deliveries now and then when it was her and David, her husband. But after he passed, she offered to make me her assistant. Unfortunate way to get it, but I needed the work. Used to be I had a job at one of the airship yards, but they let me go after I was injured by one of those newfangled steam machines. So the offer came at a good time. Besides that, Cecilia needed looking after, even though she'd never admit it. If I'm being honest, we're both getting a bit long in the tooth. Not sure how much longer we'll be keeping this up, but as long as I'm upright and breathing, I'll be bringing these crates along, even if it is murder on my back.
I admire your work ethic.
I've got a job to do. Not enough people these days seem to respect that.
So far the steampunkiness seems to be a little shoehorned.
What can you tell me about the recent burglaries?
I wish Cecilia had contacted you a lot sooner. She's a damn fine woman, but sometimes I think she'd rather jump in a rose bush than ask for help. Had to take matters into my own hands. This needs taken care of, and we can't do it on our own, as much as Cecilia would like to.
Moan.
Anyhow, alls I know is someone's been making off with some flowers and leaving money behind. No idea who it could be, how they're getting in, or why they even bother paying. In my day, if you robbed a place, you did it the right way. It's a sad state of affairs when even burglars don't do their jobs correctly.
Do you have much experience with burglary, Mr. Hastings?
Now, I never said that, Detective.
Have you noticed anyone or anything suspicious around here recently?
Nothing but the usual roughnecks, ragamuffins, and drunkards. Like I said, it's a real mystery.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Hastings. I'll let you get back to work.
Appreciate it, Detective.
Real mystery, you say.
If you don't mind, Detective, I still need to check the crate before I bring it in.
Of course. Thank you again for your help.
Learn anything?
Possibly. I may have an idea.
Ah, you're being cryptic. That's always a good sign. But if you've got a plan, let's talk about it.
Do we want to return the thing? I guess we'll return the thing.
Oh, thank you, Detective. That's quite decent of you.
Oh man, there's an achievement for putting the flower back. Yeah, non-town names are still allowed to have all of their syllables.
Tonight's shipment of flowers. Still sealed by the looks of it.
Question is, for how long?
Fine job you're doing. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Detective. Now, please, let me do my job in peace.
No, that sounds like oddly that sounds suspicious. What else are? I guess we could see what. Let's see. We can ask Bill about surveillance, apparently. Alright, what's up?
Got a minute, Bill?
For you, Miles, I've got 5.
Exactly, Draco. Exactly.
Any thoughts on Mrs. Hanbrook's assistant, Trevor?
Yes, I feel sorry for him.
Why? He seems to enjoy his work.
Nah, it's not that. He's obviously smitten with Mrs. Hanbrook, but she won't give him the time of day.
What? You only saw him for a few moments. How in the ether did you get that impression?
The way he looked at her, the way he spoke when he confessed to contacting the police. Shall I go on?
No, that's fine. I see what you mean.
Really, Miles? You'd be surprised what you can learn from people if you just look at them.
Why bother doing that when I've got you to do it for me? Right. Based on what we've been told in our experiment, I can only conclude that our burglar is using the upstairs window to get into the shop.
So what do you propose we do about it?
It's happened repeatedly over the past 3 weeks, on one of the delivery nights. Since it has yet to occur this week, and today is Friday, logic dictates it should be tonight.
So we settle in and wait to see if the burglar returns? Catch him in the act?
Exactly. It's our best chance of solving this before the trail goes cold.
And I was really looking forward to getting that drink at the Angel tonight, too.
I know, but it's as you said yourself. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Besides, forbearance is good for the soul.
Spoken like someone who truly has no idea how to have any fun.
I'm sure I'll get the hang of it one of these days, especially with your expert tutelage.
Okay, let's go have a chat with Mrs. Hanbrook. I'm sure she'll be delighted to know we're spending the night.
I thought it was more of a
Forgot to bring my deck of cards again.
giving him a monocle,
At least it's
but
quiet up here. I'm surprised we didn't go deaf after the last time we did this.
What?
I said, oh, right. Your sense of humor remains on point.
Miles, have you ever considered leaving all this behind?
What, you mean quitting the force?
The force, the city, going off and seeing what else is out there, you know?
I'd miss it too much. Wouldn't you?
I was thinking I might visit Harley out west. She makes it sound like a dream in her letters. Wide open spaces, fresh air. I know I'm a city boy and would probably miss New Britannia's filth and squalor after a week, but...
You should do it. Change of scenery never hurt anyone. Plus, it's much easier for you than it is for me. I've got a family to consider, after all.
Ah, right.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that, Bill. It's just...
Shh. I think I heard something.
Britannia was pronounced in a way that made sense to me.
Oh, no.
Bill? Stop! Police!
Damn it! He's got up the fire escape. We can corner him on the roof. Stay close and keep me covered.
Goodbye, hat. You gotta go back for the hat!
Bill!
Stay back, officer. I've got a knife. Ready your pistol, Fordham.
But you're too close!
I trust you, Miles. Your pistol, now! There's really no need for this, officer. I respect your desire to uphold justice. Mine is more important. If you let me go, I won't come back. And we can all forget this ever happened. Don't listen to this lunatic, Miles. Take your shot before things get worse.
I don't know why they climbed up.
Look, we've caught you red-handed. Put down the knife, let my partner go, and give yourself up.
No! I'm not going to jail. Do you know what they do to people in there?
Yes, I do. If you cooperate, I'll see if I can get the judge to ease your sentence.
I appreciate your tactics, Fordham, but this really isn't the time.
Come on, all you've really done is taken some flowers. You're not a killer. Don't make things worse for yourself.
You don't know anything about me. One thing's for sure. I'm not going to jail. So let me go free, or else your partner is going over the side. Fordham, this madman clearly can't be reasoned with. Take your shot, now!
Okay, we'll look the other way just this once. Just let my partner go.
Fordham, are you insane?
Bill, don't! Bill! Bill! Oh, God! I am so sorry, my friend. I am so sorry.
Well... Also, the perpetrator...
Miles, wake up! Your house is on fire!
Huh? What?
You see, I told you it was funnier when I did it to you.
Yes. Yes. Hilarious.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
Overdid it on the soporific. Why do I feel like I've had this conversation before?
I'm just glad you're in the mood to converse again. Seriously, you took so much of that snake oil last night, I was starting to think you wanted me quiet for good.
Squig so did they recover? We don't see Bill in the picture. We do see the hat up on top there. Things are just continuing. But the other thing I was gonna point out is that the burglar also jumped down from on top of the two-story building. I mean, I know he did it control rather than flailing and falling like Bill did, but what was there a balcony? Oh, maybe. I don't actually remember a balcony, but I'll believe you. A stack of hay over there? Yep. Always need a stack of hay. But thank you for the raid, Squig. We're trying out some new games tonight. This one's a point-and-click adventure game.
That was the idea.
Come now, you don't really mean that.
Believe me, I do.
I know it's not easy, but there's really no need.
Not easy. Bill, I've been hearing your voice since you died. You don't shut up unless I take that accursed medicine. I'd
Okay.
say that qualifies as a bit more than not easy.
Yeah, well, how do you think I feel? You think I enjoy being trapped here, listening to you whine about how hard your life's become? You at least still have yours.
I'm losing my grip on reality, and it's all because of you.
Believe me, I know. It's not a pretty situation. But the bottom fact is, you're stuck with me. So you can either keep living this way and ruin your life even more than you already have, or you can do as I've told you and try to figure out a way to let me move on.
Right. For the 1000th time, you want me to find the burglar from the flower shop.
Yes, exactly.
I still don't get how that's going to help.
I've told you several times, although to be fair, if you actually listened to me, I'd still be alive. At any rate, you wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place if not for him. Once the criminal has been caught and is in custody, we'll both get what we want.
I mean, I assume that's not true. This feels linear enough that this is the inevitable, like, and like, I was not shooting them because I felt like this was a not the whole Bill voice in my head sort of thing, but the Bill falling to his death thing. That I assumed was likely to happen if I tried to shoot the burglar, which, apparently it's gonna happen either way, is my assumption. Hey, Freezy Box. Yeah, the line there would have been different, I assume. They voiced enough dialogue in this game that I assume they know how to switch that a little bit.
A decent night's sleep?
More than that, you'll have that elusive thing you always wanted to give others. Closure.
You do realize the trail's pretty much frozen at this point. Our man has seemingly vanished into the ether.
That's no excuse not to keep trying. I know the cases Upton's been giving you these past few months haven't been the most thrilling, but they've at least kept you active. So just keep at it. Something has to turn up eventually. Unless, of course, you want to wind up in Riverview Asylum. And if that happens, I'm really not going to keep quiet.
Fine.
Good man. Now, I suggest you stop talking to thin air, or Adelaide's gonna start wondering if you've gone mental. Or just maybe she'll stop wondering.
Very funny.
Remember before you started taking that medicine and you could actually read a book for more than 10 minutes before falling asleep? You were a lot more fun to talk to back then. That's a fun little apparatus Adelaide got you. Very soothing.
Watching it spin long enough puts me right to sleep.
I'd say that's really more the soporifics doing. I always liked that self-portrait of Adelaide's mother, even if the eyes do always follow you around the room. I'm certain a permanent indentation in the shape of your rear is starting to form on that thing. Wouldn't you say it's time for a change of clothes, Miles? You've been wearing that coat for who knows how long.
So? Addie gave it to me. Besides, it gives me character.
Right. Brooding detective in a long black coat. That's never been seen before.
What are you talking about, Bill?
Never mind. Pretty, but I'm glad I don't have a sense of smell anymore. You should have let me be buried wearing my hat. At least it wouldn't be gathering dust like it is now.
If I'd done that, it would be dust right now.
Heh, fair point. Cozy little winter getaway. That would be a welcome change from the winters in this city.
Stupid extra pillows. There's too many pillows.
Don't worry, Miles. I don't watch when you and Adelaide are having your private time.
It would be nice if you didn't spend the whole time humming.
I thought you appreciated some romantic music.
Oh god, that would be very unnerving.
Miles, care to explain what you're doing?
Just checking to make sure everything that needs to be in here still is.
Right. If you start taking that stuff during the day, you're really going to have problems.
Hey, Archives.
It's admirable just how organized Adelaide is. Maybe someday the same can be said about you.
Yeah, detective point and click adventure money.
Ha, that poster brings back some memories. That's from around the time you two met, isn't it?
Yes, back when Addie was singing at the Angel.
Well, look who's awake. Ready to rejoin the living?
Very much so.
You were talking in your sleep again.
Did I say anything interesting?
Do you ever?
You have to admit, she's got you there.
How are you feeling?
A touch groggy. I think I took a bit too much of the soporific last night.
That's what I thought. When you went for your after-lunch nap, you'd barely gotten breakfast down. I saved you some bread and cheese if you're hungry.
Thank you, but I haven't got much of an appetite.
You really should regulate your doses more carefully, love. I'm sure dull senses and an empty stomach aren't much help to your work. By the way, a message arrived via courier for you this morning. I put it on the table along with today's newspaper.
Thank you, dear.
Books.
If there isn't a pair of scissors or a hairbrush in Adelaide's hands, you can bet there'll be a book. It might do you some good to look in the mirror a bit more often, Miles. I always liked that painting. It's impossible to see that kind of scenery here in the city. You remember how much time Adelaide had to spend convincing you to sit for this? At least these days, with ferrotype tech advancing the way it is, these portraits can be done in just a matter of minutes.
Miles Jr.
I can see why Adelaide calls that plant Miles Jr. It's a spitting image. Didn't I give you two that clock as a wedding present? Too bad it stopped working. How are your parents doing these days? It's been ages since you wrote them.
Yeah, apparently, no. What else?
Your book collection has always astonished me. Heaven help you if you ever decide to move. Building those model ships was a good way to pass the time between cases. Hopefully it'll be a while before you get enough time to build another one. Adelaide's father certainly had an amazing life. Imagine being the personal barber to the Prime Minister and his family. The gossip and secrets he must have heard.
Hanging plant.
That makes me wonder what old Mrs. Handbrook is up to these days. Ah, the Havisham case. Our first time out as partners. First in a long line of successful cases. It's nice to have a memory of the good old days. Bollingworth Ale. My favorite! And a nice souvenir from the Angel. You really ought to go back there someday. It's been so long since you used that desk. Did you even notice when Adelaide got rid of the chair?
That's a tiny desk, though. It's not big enough. I wouldn't use that desk either. Oh, God. Aethericity. It's real and it's coming. Gasco. I'm just gonna assume, like, most of those letters are unnecessary. Gasco, Grand Dame dies. Oh, the blimp. The blimp crashed that night, huh? That's pretty pixelated text, but probably it's 1 copper is the price. 1844. Second bizarre murder. See, Bretagne is, like, all of those letters are actually used. Bretagne police are investigating a murder in Chumley. Chumley. Because the length of that word compared to the... okay. Forum. A big case has come in which I think will interest you. Meet me at the Ruin Coffee House for more details.
Upton says she's got a big case for me.
Does she go into any more detail than that?
No, but then you know Upton. Always on a need-to-know basis. Especially since she's been giving me these cases under the table.
To be fair, they haven't exactly been anything of note.
True, but she's still sticking her neck out for me. I can understand why she's so secretive about it.
I think she just misses having you around the station.
Poor Connie. With you quitting and me dying, she must be bored stiff at work.
Anyway, I'm supposed to meet her at the ruined coffee house. That can't be right.
It's not like Constance to make mistakes. She must have gotten in somehow.
Guess I'll head over there and see what she's got then.
Is that a abandoned place or something then? Alright, see you later.
I'm heading out for now.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine.
So this is in Gasco. There's a swamp over here. That's decent trek.
Ah, the Rouen Coffee House. Worst Java in Lamplight City, but there's no better place to overhear all the rumors and gossip in town.
I like
Just make
this
sure
guy.
you don't get too close to the other patrons. Discretion was never your forte.
There's a bunch of flies chilling over here. Then this guy's just sitting there because that's what you look like when you're comfortable.
Not in much of a hurry to clean up in here, are they? Best avoid that one. He looks like he might tip over at any moment. Reminds me of when I was alive. Ah, good times.
It's just like a scythe chilling up here.
What a cheery reminder of everyone's impending death. That whole thing about the man in the black robe, complete lie, by the way. Self-Portrait as a Desperate Man by B. Calvert. A bit like looking in the mirror, isn't it, Miles? Simon Banks, professional chimney sweep. Services start at 2 coppers per hour. Inquire at 305 Merrick Lane. I'm sure he's a lovable urchin, but thankfully, your chimney is clean. Professor Xander Colt Tit III's emulsified soporific, available at all discerning pharmacies. I really don't know why you think taking that rat piss every night is a good idea for them.
Here's a look.
P.D. Preston's patented papier-mâché perambucat. Handsomely upholstered in silk, satin, or velvet, and hand-painted in the most artistic manner, as shown in engraving. I suppose if you and Adelaide ever finally decide to have children, something like this will come in handy. Green's Sulfur Soap. Beautifies the complexion and leaves you smelling fresh as a daisy. Talk about false advertising. I couldn't get a date for a week after using that stuff. Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. Absolutely guaranteed to restore vitality, youth, and vigor or your money back. For use by men only. These things seem to have had a spike in popularity recently. Dr. W.S. Sales Wonder Tonic. The best and safest medicine for both gentlemen and ladies. Prevents consumption, general weakness, feverishness, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, loss of appetite, flatulence, and head pain. They should also mention that it prevents breathing, heartbeats, and being alive.
Yeah, exactly, Draco. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like, good God. Like, anytime I try, like, the reason I can't sit down and read something for 10 minutes is because there's more than one voice in my head reading the text.
All that metal and tubing just to serve a hot cup of coffee? Asleep at a coffee house. One of life's little ironies. A young woman holding a guitar. Completely the wrong way, I might add. Give me an old-fashioned tea kettle any day. Just one of many patrons contributing to the oppressive thug in here. Judging by the sooty apron, this man is either a metal worker, a chimney sweep, or just really lazy when it comes to washing. He and his friend are having quite the conversation. I bet it's really boring. He's missing his left arm below the elbow. How do you suppose that happened? The specialty house brews. These are definitely not coffee. Seems like they have a little something for everyone in here.
Music's a little weird too.
She's running back and forth at lightning speed. Clearly, she dips into the coffee supply.
Tonic to prevent
This
the
is my old
vapors.
friend, up to no good.
Hello, Fordham. It's good to see you.
How did you get them to let you in here?
It's rather simple, really. The owner and I have an understanding. He pretends women are allowed in coffee houses, and I don't report his unsavory business practices to Chief Snelling.
Sounds like a good deal. What sort of unsavory business practices are we talking about?
Oh, we haven't got time to get into that now. But take some advice. Don't order anything that isn't water.
I got your message. What's going on?
It's time for you to join the big boys again, Fordham. Your days of finding lost cats are over.
So stop teasing me and tell me what it is already.
Do you know Madame Laura Dupre?
Yeah, exactly. No. So, why did you enter the building and just stand by the door for 5 minutes?
Can't say the name rings any bells.
I'm not surprised. She's one of the Gascon Grand Dames. Doesn't really run in our kind of social circles.
Ah, right.
Madame Dupre died the day before yesterday. Her funeral was held this morning.
My condolences.
But halfway through the service, the mourners heard a loud knocking coming from inside her coffin.
She wasn't dead?
Apparently not. Nearly interred alive, although her doctor swears she had no pulse. Dupre's son Andrew was quick to suspect foul play. He accused a man named Albert Martin, and the police arrested him.
So where do I come in? Sounds like the case has already been solved.
I strongly suspect that Martin is innocent, especially considering the talk of him having used black magic on Dupre. The police feel they have enough evidence to convict, so they're not bothering to investigate any further. You're going to look into it and see if I'm right, then find the person who was really behind this.
Has Madame Dupre recovered from her ordeal?
I'm afraid not. Apparently she's been catatonic since they pulled her out of the coffin.
How unfortunate.
If you'd like to question Mr. Martin, he's being held at the Bow Street jail. Or you could take a look around his house. It's at 451 Compton Street in Worcester.
And the Dupre home?
That's at Emmeline and Comtesse, right across from the old Angeline convent. It's also possible you might run into the police during your investigation, since they're technically still on the case.
Thanks for the warning.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about before you get started?
Sure. Yeah, using the super archaic jail spell in there.
Yes, actually, I had a couple of questions.
Let's hear them then.
It's the goofy looking person.
Don't suppose there have been any developments regarding Bill's murder.
Unfortunately not. The department hasn't exactly been focusing on that case as a priority. The general attitude is that it was an accident. Bill died an honorable death in the line of duty.
Would have been nice if they bothered saying that at the funeral.
And of course, there are still those who blame you for his death, Snelling being the first and foremost.
But the man who killed him is still out there.
Yes, I know, but it looks like you're on your own if you want to find him. My hands are tied. I can only ask around so much before the higher-ups get suspicious. Just don't give up. New Britannia may be a big city, but the criminal world is surprisingly close-knit. If you find any connections or leads during your other cases, be sure and let me know. I'll do the same if I find anything out.
See, she has a priority straight. You could learn a lot from Upton.
I wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
Nothing.
What do you know about Madame Dupre?
Only what I've read about her in the paper. She's been married thrice, which I can empathize with, and she's extremely rich, which I can't.
What makes you think this Martin fellow is innocent?
The fact that the only evidence is the word of Dupre's son. I've seen this sort of thing thousands of times, and I'm sure you did too. They're just looking for a scapegoat. You're the only person I know who can put it right.
Upton's intentions are noble, but she has to realize this is just a drop in the ocean.
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay.
How are things going with you?
Work is hectic as usual, and I'm spending my day off in here. But considering my home life is still a shambles, maybe this is the best place to be.
I'm truly sorry about that.
Don't be ridiculous. If it hadn't been for you, I'd still be chained to that philandering bastard. It hasn't been easy, but I'm much better off this way. Trust me. Anyway, work gives me something to focus on. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes, and I'm grateful to you for getting me these case leads. I know you're taking a risk to do it.
It's the least I can do. How about you? How's Adelaide?
She's fine, although things between us could be improved, if I'm being honest. The less said about it right now, the better, I think.
I'm sorry to hear that. You can talk to me about it if you need to, although I'm probably not the best person to ask for relationship advice.
That's it, I think.
Then you'd better get back to it.
Well, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to help you find the flower shop burglar, but I suppose freeing an innocent man is a worthy diversion.
I suppose. It'll all connect back in the end if we play the game long enough. Clearly. Alright, so we got the jail. We got the street that... Oh, we got the manor. Okay. Alright, well I don't remember where this was, so let's go check it out.
Ah, Compton Street. We're not too far from Restaurant Row. When's the last time you ate, anyway?
Please, let's not add eating to the list of things to nag me about.
The voice in my head is my partner who died in the, Why can I only think of the word epilogue? I want the prologue. There we go. We had a prologue and my partner died in the prologue, and now he's a disembodied voice in my head for some reason. Probably no home. I mean, I'm happy to throw down some rhyming couplets, Khadgar, but that takes more time than I want to do in the middle of stream.
One of Atwood's re-election posters, sorely lacking a mustache. Go on, Miles. Fix this grievous injustice.
Not now, Bill. There are more important things to worry about.
Spoil sport.
So would he say that if we hadn't talked to him about it? No, I guess that makes sense, even if we hadn't.
Considering how many eating establishments are in this neighborhood, the butcher picked a fantastic spot to set up shop. I do notice a distinct lack of stray cats in this neighborhood, though. I'm glad that Coulson still uses horses. I don't trust the new self-driving cabs.
I'm sorry, I have no time for visitors today.
Hey, ain't alive.
I need to speak with you about Albert Martin.
Albert? Are you with the police?
No, I'm a private investigator.
Oh, I don't think you can help. I'm sorry.
Sorry to bother you. I'll be on my way.
Good day to you, sir.
Okay. Seems like it might have been Iron.
Fordham? Is that you? You look like something the cat spat up.
Hello, Giles. It's lovely to see you too.
What's with these, like, the doors?
What brings you around the jail? I thought you'd quit being a detective.
I'm looking to speak with Mr. Albert Martin.
Oh, I see. Well, that's him in the first cell there. I'd say what needs saying as quick as you can, though. He's headed for the gallows in the morning.
What? Already? But what about a trial?
No trial necessary when there's black magic involved. This little half-breed's already sealed his fate.
Such a charming fellow, isn't he? Either crime is low, or the police aren't doing their jobs very well.
Yeah, Pirate Trap, that's an archaic spelling of jail. Still pronounced the same way. It was named Bill, Khadgar, but that doesn't let's see, Bill, who was Kill. There you go. Who ended up horribly Kill.
Mr. Martin?
Who are you? My lawyer?
No, I'm actually here to help you. The name's Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
How are you going to help me?
I'm looking into the attack on Madame Dupre. I believe you're innocent.
Oh, thank heaven. That's music to my ears.
Would you mind answering a few questions for me?
Friend, if it means saving me from the noose, I'll tell you nothing less than God's truth.
Interesting choice of phrase for someone accused of using black magic.
There's something weird about them. Like, yeah, I think they didn't have as clean of a microphone to record his lines on. That is an archaic spelling of Bill. Who took a horrible spill. That's pretty good. Because, I mean, that is how he fell. Yeah, if you do stuff like that, no home, like going Bill to killed, like that works, but it's a much weaker rhyme. I almost always try to avoid that and go for more pure rhymes myself.
How did you end up in here?
I was just minding my own business at home when the police showed up with no warning. They made some outrageous claims about me putting some sort of curse on Madame Dupre. The next thing I knew, I was here. Oh, Mama must be beside herself with worry. I just hope she's all right.
What does your mother do, Mr. Martin?
She helps people.
I was hoping you'd be just a bit more specific.
She provides spiritual help to those who seek guidance.
She's a spiritualist.
Not quite. She's more like... how can I explain it? You know how a priest holds mass to spread the word of God to the people? My mother holds services and calls on the spirits to walk among us, providing healing and guidance.
So she's a religious leader?
If you want to give her that title, it would be the most appropriate.
And does this religion of yours have a name?
You'd probably know it as voodoo, but it doesn't mean what you think it does. People are so quick to judge and portray us as evil when they have no idea.
Alright, confirmed black magic. We're done here.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
What's to tell? She's a twisted, evil woman who got what was coming to her. Whoever attacked her deserves some sort of reward for the service they're doing the community.
So it wasn't you then?
No, I'm innocent, Mr. Fordham. You have to believe me.
I'm afraid you're not making that very easy right now, Mr. Martin. Do you know anything about the circumstances of Madame Dupre's supposed death?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Then why did her son accuse you?
Probably because he's just as ignorant as she is.
What I meant was, how did her son know to accuse you? Have you had any contact with the family before?
Yes, you could say that.
Uh-oh. That gleam in his eye says it all.
You see, I'm involved with Dupre's daughter, Juliet Montgomery. Dupre doesn't like that one bit. She even threatened me once.
Is that right?
Yes. She might have everyone else fooled, but that woman is the devil incarnate. I can't understand how something so heartless and cruel could have spawned someone as pure and, loving as my dear Juliet.
He's not really helping his case much, is he?
Greetings, Ekiligor.
Tell me about Juliet.
She's wonderful. Such a beautiful, kind soul. She hasn't come to see me yet, but I'm sure that's because of all the confusion in the last few days. Juliet wouldn't believe for a second that I would be capable of harming her mother. I'm sure of it.
How did you two get involved?
We met at the university.
Your classmates?
Hardly. They wouldn't allow someone like me to enroll there. Juliet studies botany. I work as an assistant in the greenhouse. We started talking, and she actually treated me like a person. To everyone else, I was just the boy who fetched the test tubes. But Juliet actually wanted to hear what I had to say. Had the same taste in books and art. Didn't just treat me like some piece of gardening equipment. She even shared some of her notes with me after I told her I was interested in botany as well. From there, things just got better. I don't expect you to understand or approve, but that's how it happened.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It doesn't sound too different to how my wife and I got together. Except I was a detective and she was a singer at a bar.
And she's...
Yes, Mr. Martin. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. How often is Juliet in the greenhouse?
Every weekday, but I doubt she's there now. She's probably trying to find out where I am and working to have me released.
Somehow, I wouldn't bet on that.
Gotta throw in the casual start. Yeah, exactly, Khadgar. Look, I'm innocent. My mom practices magic. I don't. It's not really like dark magic. It's just voodoo. But, like... It's like... I didn't do anything to hurt her, but she's a terrible person and I hate her and she deserved it, but it definitely wasn't me.
So you practice voodoo, do you?
Are you making fun of me, Mr. Fordham?
No, of course not. Apologies if it seemed as though I was. It's just that the police are convinced that black magic was involved in Madame Dupre's apparent death.
That's because that idiot son of hers knew about my mother, and like all bigoted fools, assumed that we're involved in devil worship and the black arts. But I can assure you that this is most certainly not the case, Mr. Fordham.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply.
Just forget it.
That's all for now.
Wait, before you go, would you do me a favor? Would you go see my mother at our house and give her a message?
You're at 451 Compton Street, right?
Yes, that's right. Could you tell her I said St. Rock's dog is barking?
I suppose I could do that, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Whatever happened to a simple I love you?
There's too much sibilance in that voice. I can't, yeah. Just tell my mother, Exemplora hex humanus transmorga facere. And if you have enough time, add a huna igna chawa neha. And she'll know what it means. Like, next character to appear can get that voice. Not if they have a lot of lines. That's the type of voice that destroys a throw real quick, like.
You again. I told you I have no time for visitors.
You're Albert Martin's mother, aren't you?
Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I spoke with Albert, and he told me to give you a message. He said to tell you that St. Rock's dog is barking.
Oh, I see. That's good. That's very good. You better come in, Mr. Fordham. Standing on the street just won't do. Welcome to my home, Mr. Fordham. I am Sabine Martin. I hope you understand that Albert has nothing to do with this awful business.
I also hope you understand I don't have a second chair.
Well, her tune certainly changed when you gave her that message. I wonder what it meant.
No, thank you, ma'am. I won't be staying long.
I'm just gonna stand awkwardly near your door for a minute. I do find the one chair just chilling there, like that's a table chair, not a chill by itself chair.
The Virgin Mary? I must admit she was the last person I was expecting to see in here. A rather unremarkable book collection, I'm sorry to say. That statue, on the other hand, gives me the willies. For all we know, that rider is some sort of demon. He looks like he's having a good time, at least. Interesting. Those pots look as though they've been wrapped in tobacco leaves. That pattern resembles a flower. Too bad it isn't an Easter lily. It's some old man with a dog standing at the center of a crossroads. If that's meant to have any sort of significance, it's completely lost on me.
Just go open the curtain before talking to her? Nope. Pardon me, I need to open this curtain.
I'm afraid that room is private, Mr. Fordham. I must respectfully ask you to not go in there.
Of course. My apologies.
That's more kind than I would probably be like, what the hell are you doing? Just like going into random doors and stuff. That's where I keep the bodies. You can't look in there. Alright, what's up?
I've got a few questions for you, Mrs. Martin.
I'll try to answer them the best I can.
There's not an option to ask about what the message meant?
Do you think your son is capable of doing what he stands accused of?
Never. Albert wouldn't harm a fly.
That's what the mothers always say.
Why don't you tell me a bit more about him then?
He started working at the university laboratory a few years ago. I was so proud of him. The university is quite selective, you know. The same for its staff as well as its students.
Yes, I've gotten that impression.
I always told Albert to be careful around those high society types, but that one always thinks with his heart first.
Is she sure that's the correct body part?
He's all the family I have, Mr. Fordham.
Lewd. Ask for tea.
I think I'll take you up on your offer for tea, after all.
All right, Mr. Fordham. You'll have to give me a few minutes to heat up the kettle. I'll be back shortly.
Enthusiastically, Spherical.
Amazing. Even more voodoo stuff back there. Why would she keep these particular items hidden from view?
Good question.
The tea should be ready in a few minutes, Mr. Fordham. You can help yourself once it's done.
You're very kind, Mrs. Martin. I've got a few questions.
I'll try.
Do you know anything about Madame Laura Dupre?
I never met her in person, but I know plenty about her.
Like what?
Nothing fit for a polite conversation, Mr. Fordham. But I can tell you this. Laura Dupre has far more enemies than she lets on.
Does that include you or your son?
It most certainly does not.
And now we got this option.
What exactly is it you do, Mrs. Martin?
I provide services to the public.
A delightfully vague answer if there ever was one. Give me something a bit more specific, please.
I'm a Mambo Asugwe. That means I'm what you call a voodoo queen. I'd give you a detailed explanation of the responsibilities and duties of the role, but your time would be better spent clearing my son's name.
What do you know about Juliet, Madame Dupre's daughter?
I know Albert was smitten with her, no matter that I told him to be very careful around her kind. Those rich Creole families don't care much for people like us. To them, we're just a help. But from his telling, Juliet sounded to be a decent soul. It's a shame the same can't be said for her kin.
Can you tell me a bit more about your religious practices?
What I can tell you is that the ignorant whites in this city are afraid of us for no reason. Voodoo is not about black magic or dark spells or turning people into the living dead. It's about healing and life. Naturally, there are misguided souls who may try to use it for ill purposes, but I am not one of those.
Sounds like you hit a sore spot. Might be a good idea to stop pressing her on this angle.
If you'll indulge my curiosity, what exactly was the meaning of Albert's message?
Saint Roch is the patron saint of dogs, as well as the falsely accused. If he sent the message along with you, it means he trusts you, and that I should too.
Oh, I see.
Perhaps you were hoping for something more? That's just the way of mysteries, isn't it?
How do you mean?
The thrill of the unknown is always more exciting than the truth. Mystery makes life a little more interesting.
True, but if mysteries were really better unsolved, I wouldn't have a job.
Alright, do we tell her we looked behind her secret door? Then we might not get tea. Screw it.
About that back room of yours.
I beg your pardon?
I don't know about this, Miles. Is this really a road you want to go down?
Alright.
Actually, never mind. I misspoke. Thank you for your help.
My pleasure.
Can I get some tea? How do I help myself to the tea? I want the tea!
She's not gonna be much help right now. That's not...
Alright, see you later. No tea, I guess.
Aren't you going to have your tea, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I just remembered something important I need to look into. Perhaps later.
Suit yourself.
Oh, it's as though we've journeyed to the tropics. I don't know how you can stand to keep that coat on in here. Those flowers are definitely not native to this area. They seem to be thriving in their glass tubes, though.
Tea's just gonna be cold by the time we make it back there.
Quite the assortment of plants they keep in here. I wonder if they serve any purpose or are just meant to look pretty. I've never seen a flower grow that big. What do you suppose they're feeding them? Judging from that pipe, that contraption must be used to keep the plants hydrated. It looks like a giant earwax remover to me.
That's Julia, just
One of those
trimming a
cute little
bonsai tree.
Japanese trees that are all the rage these days. Personally, I don't see how giving a tree a haircut is meant to be relaxing.
Pardon the disturbance, but are you Juliet Montgomery?
I am. And you are?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into the events surrounding your mother's attempted murder.
Ah, of course.
Have you got time to answer some questions?
Yes, that shouldn't be a problem.
Do you know anything about the events leading up to your mother's premature interment?
No, it was a complete shock. Mother seemed to be perfectly healthy and full of life. Then, without warning, she was dead. Or so we thought.
I take it you were glad to be wrong?
What a ridiculous question. Of course I was. What sort of heartless beast would celebrate their mother's death?
Oh, I could name a few. Juliet definitely didn't shed any tears over Madame Dupre, though. That much is obvious.
Miss Montgomery, you don't have to lie to me. I'm not going to assume you tried killing your mother just because you weren't upset by her death.
I felt terrible about it. You have to understand, I didn't want her to be dead. I just felt a sense of relief. Please, don't think me a horrible person, Mr. Fordham. It's just that Mother and I aren't currently on the best of terms.
Why don't you and your mother get along?
We've never completely seen eye to eye on anything. She always disapproved of anything I did. When I was younger, she used to forbid me from speaking to the servants. I saw no harm in a kind word or smile, but she warned us that if we were too familiar, they would take liberties. Then when I declared my intentions to pursue academic studies, she really went livid. In her opinion, a university education was tantamount to a chastity belt. What sort of man would want a wife with a head full of useless facts, she'd say.
Personally, I've always found intelligence to be quite attractive.
I assume your mother didn't approve of your involvement with Mr. Martin?
A rather forward question, Mr. Fordham. But you're not mistaken. I'm not sure how she managed to find out about Albert and me, but when she did, she nearly had a conniption. As I'm sure you can understand, the situation at home has been less than perfect in the last few months. I'd really rather not dwell on it.
What can you tell me about Albert Martin?
I'm not quite sure where to begin.
Why not start by telling me what your relationship with him was?
We met here at the greenhouse. He was working as an assistant, sweeping and cleaning and fetching things for the students. My focus was on academics, naturally. I wasn't too interested in romance. In fact, I've had to turn away nearly every single one of my classmates. But with Albert, I found myself intrigued. I noticed him stealing glances, lingering just a bit too long after bringing over a book or flask, sweeping the same patch of floor near me over and over again. It wasn't too long before I had him bringing me tools and equipment, regularly.
I see.
As I mentioned, Mother was an absolute terror when she found out.
Do you believe Mr. Martin did what he stands accused of?
I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't seem like him, but Albert can be quite passionate. If the police believe he's to blame, then they must have a reason for it. It wasn't any secret that he hated Mother. Perhaps I should have ended things sooner. It was satisfying to know that Mother was displeased, but I never imagined it would lead to something like this.
Well, it's nice to see she's all heart.
You mentioned you were friends with the servants.
Yes, that's right. I didn't care that they worked for us. Everyone needs a friend.
Did your mother ever mistreat them?
Mistreat? No, I wouldn't say so. She was always very stern, though, and quite cold. If they ever shirked their duties or misbehaved, they were punished, of course, but nothing out of the ordinary that I ever saw. Most of the servants are my friends, but I'm closest with Amelie, the kitchen maid. Mother wasn't too happy about that. Amelie's been around as long as I can remember. She's like the aunt I never had.
So, you study botany. Fascinating subject.
Are you an admirer of plants, Mr. Fordham?
My wife has the green thumb in the household, but I do have a certain appreciation for them.
Plants are amazing things, just like people in many ways.
How do you mean?
They need attention and care. Ignore a plant, and it will wither. Give it too much attention, and it will become sick. Plants have many things to teach us, and I greatly enjoy learning from them.
These plants are impressive. Are they yours?
Yes, I've developed a method to make them extra healthy and strong.
They're larger than anything I've ever seen. How do you do it?
Ah, but I can't reveal my secrets, Mr. Fordham. The world will hear about my discoveries soon enough.
Incidentally, do you know anything about Easter lilies?
No, I don't keep or grow those here.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Yeah, just a little black magic makes the voodoo on the plants. I have work to do, aka let me rapidly snip at this bonsai tree a little more.
You are aware this is private property, sir?
Yes, I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the incident involving Madame Dupre. I assume this is she?
You assume correctly, Mr. Fordham. My apologies, but I thought the police had already made an arrest.
That's right, but there's still some doubt as to the man's guilt. May I ask your name, sir?
I am Dr. Fellows, Madame Dupre's private physician. I'm afraid she is in no state to be answering questions at present.
Are any other members of the family home?
Her son, Mr. Montgomery, is in the entrance hall. I had to give him a mild sedative to settle his nerves, but he should be all right to converse.
Then if you don't mind, I'll have a look around.
This fountain probably looked nicer when it was working, but right now it's just a breeding ground for mosquitoes.
As fountains often are.
With her vast sums of wealth, Madame Dupre could probably feed a starving family for the next 30 years. Instead, she uses the money to keep her hedges trimmed. Her eyes are glazed over, and she's got a vacant, expressionless stare. She seems completely oblivious to her surroundings. If we didn't know she'd been buried alive, I'd say she was just exhibiting the typical symptoms of your average rich person.
More snark?
Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
A lot of these portraits look a little weird.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
She is a great woman and a pillar of the community. I cannot imagine why something like this could happen to her, or how someone could be capable of such a barbaric feat. Though this ordeal has been terrible, I am confident she will overcome. The power of her physical constitution is surpassed only by her strength of character.
You think he'd say the same things if he wasn't on her payroll? I highly doubt it.
Did you examine Madame Dupre after she reanimated?
Of course. Physically, she appeared to be in fine health aside from minor dehydration. I found no marks or bruising on her body. Mentally is a different story, however. She's remained in an unresponsive state ever since.
Do you have any opinions on what caused Madame Dupre to appear dead?
The most likely cause I can imagine is some sort of poison or toxin.
What were the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's supposed death?
Her son, Andrew, sent for me a few days ago after finding her unconscious and unresponsive. As I was unable to detect a pulse or breath, I had no other recourse but to declare her deceased. I judged that Madame Dupre had likely suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. It was most shocking to be proven wrong at a funeral.
I can imagine. Where was the funeral held, by the way?
St. Denis Cemetery. Madame Dupre wished to be interred in the tomb of her father's family, name of Chesterton.
Perhaps I'll go have a look.
So, son's certainly looking pretty suspicious.
How long have you been Madame Dupre's private physician?
5 years, and I've been practicing medicine for the past 30. I still spend a couple of days a week treating patients at Riverview Asylum.
Oh, good. Maybe if you're lucky, he could be your doctor someday.
30 years is quite a long time. You must have seen some incredible advances in the field of medicine.
I have, yes. I can only wonder how things will change with all this talk of ethericity. There's speculation it can be used to restore necrotic tissue and instantly heal broken bones, among other things. If you ask me, a good bloodletting will never go out of fashion.
What leads you to believe Madame Dupre was poisoned?
The symptoms she experienced were consistent with prior cases of poisoning I've studied. And didn't the young man arrested have ties to some kind of black magic cult? There have been reported cases of these practitioners using poisons to make people appear dead, then commanding them to do their bidding. I recall reading about a man in the West Indies who was given tetrodotoxin, that's the toxic secretion from a pufferfish, declared dead and buried. He appeared alive in his village some 20 years later.
Doesn't that seem a bit far-fetched to you, Doctor?
Facts are facts, Mr. Fordham. Surely someone in your line of work can appreciate that.
Facts are facts, whether we
Those
make
are all the
them up or
questions I've
not.
got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
Rest the doctor. Case closed. Because I'm done with it. Oh man, people.
Hello. Are you the new servant?
No, I'm Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into your mother's attempted murder.
How did you know I was her son? Oh, of course. You must have sensed it with your detective's intuition. I should have guessed by that giant head of yours.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, I'm fine. Much better than when those pesky police officers were snooping around earlier. But I like you, Mr. Fordham. I can already tell you're not like them. Not like them at all. Please, call me Andrew.
Yes, well, I'll have a look around and I may need to ask you some questions. Do you think you can handle that?
I can. In fact, I really look forward to
God.
it.
If the good doctor gave him a mild sedative, I'd hate to see what the stuff you take would have done to him.
You're under arrest for being really weird, but yeah, he's hopped up, so there is at least something of an excuse, but only something of an excuse.
Do you suppose that's for the bird? Or perhaps so the Dupre family members can get a good look at themselves on the way out of the house? But a beautiful parrot. Must have cost the Dupres a cool copper.
Really?
Dupre looks like she's holding on to that poor bastard for dear life.
I have some questions for you.
Oh, goody.
Goody? Yeah, that's true. If we've learned anything from Phoenix Wright, we should definitely be talking to that parrot intensely. The parrot's an option here, and it is a parrot, not, say, some other bird, so... Parrot might actually be relevant.
How do you typically spend your days, Mr. Montgomery? What are your interests?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. Nothing as exciting as what you do, I'm sure. Ooh, tell me, do most bad people start crying when you catch them? I'll bet it's a laugh riot to see them sobbing away.
No, Mr. Montgomery, most of them don't.
Well, that's a real shame, isn't it?
I don't like this person.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
She came back from the dead. I couldn't believe it. My mother, resurrected, just like Jesus.
Yes. I heard you're the one who accused Mr. Martin of the crime.
Oh, no, I already talked to the police about that. I don't want to think about it right now.
What can you tell me about your sister, Juliet?
I'm reminded of a famous quote, Mr. Fordham. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Let us part on good terms and avoid the subject altogether, please.
That's a rather exotic bird you've got.
I like looking at him. He has such pretty colors, doesn't he?
That he does.
You know, I've always wondered what he might taste like. Is that bad, do you think?
I really couldn't say, Mr. Montgomery. Thanks for your time.
No, thank you for yours.
This is ridiculous. He won't be of any use in this state. If it takes him as long to snap out of it as it takes you, we'll be waiting around here until noontime tomorrow. There has to be a way to bring him back to his senses. Maybe that quack outside knows something of use.
Gonna get myself a bite to eat. Make myself a quesadilla real quick.
Judging by the amount of food this family probably eats, washing the dishes must take forever. Looks like the type of spices you'd use in a stew. Most likely paprika or turmeric. Nice variety of reds and oranges. Certainly no shortage of bowls or food preparation items around here. Some kind of water dispensing device, maybe? I was never very good at finding my way around the kitchen. Yeah, it looks like gumbo's on the menu tonight. I wonder how it compares with Upton's special recipe. It's times like these make me wish I could still eat.
Alright, what's up, Amelie?
Pardon me, miss.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm investigating the attempted murder of Madame Dupre.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm very busy. I can't help you.
Amelie, please. I need to know what you know about Madame Dupre.
What? How did you know my name?
I'm a detective.
Juliet told me about you.
Miss Juliet?
Yes, I spoke to her at the university. She mentioned you two were friends.
Yes, that's right. She's always been so good to me.
Look, Amelie, I'm just trying to get some information. And I have a feeling you can be very helpful if you just let me talk to you.
All right, fine. But do it as fast as you can.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
Oh, I really shouldn't, sir.
It would greatly help my investigation if you did.
Madame Dupre was kind enough to hire me as her cook. It's hard to get jobs in the city. Lots of people want their servants to use those new machines. My sister's brother-in-law got half his leg blown off by one of those new ovens. He's lucky he wasn't killed. So I'm plenty happy working here doing real people's work. But Madam can be difficult sometimes.
Difficult? What do you mean by that?
No, I said enough.
What do you know about Madame Dupre's supposed death?
All I can tell you is that whoever did it really hated her.
Do you know Albert Martin, the man accused of the crime?
No, I'm sorry.
What can you tell me about Andrew?
He ain't so bad. Kinda spoiled. but he mostly cleans up after himself. Has a whole private part of the house, but I think he only uses one room. Better for me, way less to clean.
I wouldn't have expected her to have a positive outlook on it.
What do you know about Juliet?
She was always so kind to me and the others, but her mother don't like that one bit. Still, she sneaks down into the kitchen to keep me company some nights. Even though she's a good soul, I think part of her does it just to spite her mother.
Are you the only remaining servant here?
No, there's another one, Marcel. He's the new gardener. I haven't seen him in a few days, though. Not since before Madam's incident.
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Now please, let me get back to work.
Okie doke. Didn't even get a quesadilla. Turns out I'm allergic to lack of quesadilla.
A horrible little porcelain figurine. Madame Dupre didn't strike me as the type to play with dolls. Nice bouquet of roses, although it would make things much easier if they were Easter lilies.
If only.
Ah, the Gascon docks. The artist definitely took some liberties. You can't see a single person getting stabbed.
Okay, so Gascon only has one superfluous letter.
Goodness, someone went overboard with the flowers. This brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Ones I'd rather forget.
The science of pharmacology. Yeah, I'm sure it's riveting stuff.
You know this place is important because we zoomed in on it. And, like, there's stuff that someone could use to concoct poison here, you say?
These should be useful.
Alright, we're just taking the tweezers, yeah. It is an adventure game, after all.
I can only wonder what sort of potions Andrew concocts in this thing. Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. These would make a sloth act like a hummingbird. Decadent. A gentle reminder that everyone's time is slowly running out. Is this really the best that medical science has to offer? What in the ether is that thing supposed to be? Actually, I'd rather not know.
I mean, it's not terribly complicated. Just give it, whatever.
Yeah, it must be a nice place to sit and listen to music.
Cylindergraph.
Oh, look! It's one of those new audio cylindergraphs. I can't quite wrap my head around how they can manage to get sound out of a wax cylinder.
Oh yeah, the wax cylinder style.
Why would anyone need so many flowers in one room?
Perhaps it's to mask the odors of those chemicals on the workstation.
Could be. Why would anyone...
Perhaps...
Let's see. That sounds odd on a harpsichord, huh? For at least I can't pull that off, I'm afraid. I could do, or, excuse me. Oh, let's see. No, damn it. I could do that with fingers, but actually remembering how it works to translate here is different. Yeah, it really is. Translating muscle memory is not easy. No, that's not quite right. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I can sort of do. Like, well, I mean, it doesn't help that I don't, like, know the song super well to begin with, right? But, that makes sense, alright, James, yeah. And then, like, I mean, there's other ones that I could do equally, like, forgetfully. Let's see. No, that's gonna sound terrible on harpsichord anyway. I should have been able to do Ode to Joy. I'm a little, like, sad. Like, that's not that hard of a melody. So, there we go. Oh, it doesn't register until I release the mouse click, so the timing at the end was wrong. With my one extra note of flourish I add to that song. Alright, anything else we want to do here? I mean, they have the numbers labeled, so it's possible, like, we're going to be given a melody to play later, huh? Anything else that comes to mind? Schubert and Sons. Piano puzzles. I mean, that's what we started off with in the life. The, yeah. That sounds way worse on a harpsichord, though. Isn't he? Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'd be able to tell easily if it was piano, but the harpsichord blurs the lines. Yeah, that's better, right? Yeah, no, the E is better. I thought it sounded slightly off, but I wasn't sure why, and that would be, yep, that would be why. There you go. Oh, you can't look at the harp.
I don't know much about art, but I see Madame Dupre and I at least have similar tastes.
Well, we played some songs on the harpsichord, so mission accomplished, really. Just walk into people's bedrooms casually. What's up? Look through this chest.
I've never seen so many beauty products together in one place. Doesn't look like they get used much, though. Juliet really likes plants and flowers, doesn't she?
Nothing under the rug.
Locked. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised.
Nice little cottage. Looks like it would make a nice cozy spot to retire. If I hadn't already retired from life, that is.
Just imagine a voice in your head just constantly making like random snarky comments about their own death.
They're all empty. How unusual.
Not to mention disappointing.
Let's have a look through these papers. Aha, what's this?
September 8th, that was this month, so current month, maybe a couple weeks ago. I don't remember. Dear Miss Montgomery, unfortunately, I've been informed of a series of burglaries in the neighborhood near the room you're renting from me at 76 Forest Lane. As a precaution, I've gone ahead and changed the locks. Please find and close a copy of your new key. Hope this doesn't cause you too much of an inconvenience.
So, Juliet is renting a room in the Chum. That's certainly interesting. I can't wait to see what sort of dirty secrets she's got hidden away in there. Well, someone's fancy. I never liked these types of beds much. They feel too claustrophobic.
I always thought they had a certain appeal myself.
Yes, you would think that about a bed that lets you shut out the rest of the world.
Yeah, I don't see much appeal to those beds either.
Must be nice being able to afford keeping your oil lamps lit during the daytime. Ooh, a fainting couch. You know, I always wanted one of these, but I never fainted enough to justify buying one. A much younger Madame Dupre. I suppose that's a nice alternative to a mirror.
Choice and consequence.
Choice and consequence. Who in their right mind would write a book about that? I don't even want to know what that one's about.
Equestrian mesmerism, huh?
I read that one last year. If you ever wanted to know the intimate details of a buffalo's anatomy, I highly recommend it.
It is weird, Stan. Specifically, yeah, the voice, disembodied voice of our partner is floating around in our head after he died in the prologue.
One of those melodramatic romances. I read it a while back, and I couldn't tell you a thing about it. Now that one sounds interesting. I was always a fan of Bedletter's short stories. Doesn't appear to be very brief if there's 2 volumes of it. I wonder if anyone outside the family would find this even remotely interesting. Doesn't appear to be very brief if there's 2 volumes.
Oh yeah, I don't remember the internal line of the limerick either, Anwar.
It would appear that Madame Dupre was taking music lessons.
Her current predicament has probably put an end to that venture, though.
I mean, there's just a scale. I mean, I could have just played a scale, like a major C scale. That's what it appears to be telling me to do. Oh, starting at, oh no, that is middle C. Yeah.
That's an old uniform, from the turn of the century by the look of it. This must be Madame Dupre's first husband. Kinda strange that she'd still keep his portrait in the bedroom. You've got some huge bags under your eyes, Miles. Reminds me of the case we had on that strange train.
Don't remind me.
All right. Let's go play a scale real quick, I suppose. Alright. I guess I'm happier nothing happened, because that would seem very dumb, but... Alright. You need another syllable in that second line, Unvar. Like maybe, and he took an unfortunate spill.
Doctor, may I ask you if you...
Please.
And to be clear, I don't think exact adherence to syllable count is necessary or even good at times, but like I noticed that the flow of the second line was off, and it's one syllable shorter than the first line. You usually want them to be within, like, either be the same or be two apart is what I've noticed. I don't actually know if there's specific reasoning for that, but the flow of poems works a lot better that way from what I've seen so far.
May I ask exactly what kind of sedative you gave Andrew?
A simple tincture of laudanum. It's what I give all my nervous patients.
He seems a bit out of sorts.
Hot? Meat kettle.
It can have that effect, but it usually wears off in half a day or so.
Is there a way to bring him out of his condition sooner?
A stimulant would have the opposite effect, but I wouldn't recommend mixing the two. It could have potentially harmful effects on his heart.
Oh, of course. I wasn't planning on doing anything of the sort. I was just curious.
It's cute how you act like you have no experience in these matters. It's almost convincing.
Those are all the questions.
I hope...
Oh yeah, that actually would make sense, Anvar. That's why they've got the solfege, like, linked for the do re mi, like, compared to the so we'll get like someone doing a do re mi and we have to convert it. That's possible. It is definitely possible. Getting all sorts of stuff on the map now.
Egad! Is this someone's room or a jungle?
Quite a fascinating array of plants in here. Not to mention the machinery on the table.
Seems like Juliet is very interested in getting extra credit. I wonder what sort of fertilizer or growth tonic these plants are getting. Whatever it is, it's definitely working.
We can't look at the odd staining on the ceiling.
Those are the most vibrant flowers we've seen in a while. I bet they smell extra strong.
Yes, they certainly do.
It's a good thing you're the one with the nose.
Thanks for reminding me, Bill.
I'm guessing they're probably full of more scientific equipment or plant-related stuff.
Maybe stolen plants? Lilies, perhaps?
That's quite the book collection. It almost puts Adelaide's to shame.
All impeccably cataloged and organized as well, which makes the two missing volumes stand out even more.
But we're not going to make any note of the missing volumes. Is it just the one on this table, or?
They appear to be scientific scribblings. I can't make heads nor tails of them.
That makes two of us.
They appear to be...
Push the button.
Etheric pressure. What a bunch of nonsense. They're just doing what flies do best. I have no idea nor desire to know what purpose that thing has.
Well now, this is interesting.
Etheric effects. Larger, more vibrant flowers. Chlorophyll production seemingly triples. Root systems strengthen, increasing capacity to absorb nutrients. Conclusion: plants thrive from exposure to small etheric currents. Further experiments are needed to determine the long-term effects. Etheric effects on the flies. Brain is clearly affected, inducing a trance-like state. Muscle control lost. Wings flap in predictable pattern. Animals with greater cognitive abilities, thanks for clarifying it's humans, are exposed to specific quantities of ethericity, they will go into stupor. Appearing unresponsive. Or dead, perhaps, is how they'll look. That's probably not important.
Just a bunch of technical nonsense. I can't understand a word of it. Etheric
Alright, well, let's push the button. No one's gonna comment on that. Bill? Did we just kill Bill? Cause where's the snark on that one? We got nothing.
St. Denis Cemetery. Best view in the city. It's just a shame none of the residents can enjoy it. I think I'm buried around here somewhere. Wonder how the old gravestone is doing these days.
Just random tombs. Why are there random tombs over, or like gravestones rather? What? The cemetery is over here.
Looks like people have left markings and offerings in front of this tomb. You may think it's a silly superstition, but I wish you'd leave a bottle of Bollingworth at my grave every now and then. This just goes to show you can't take it with you, so you might as well spend it all on a giant tomb. If only that police officer wasn't guarding the tomb, you could go in there and raid it to your heart's content. I don't know him. Must be a recent addition to the force. Well, at least he won't recognize you. Nice view of the river from up here. You can hardly even see the cloud of smog over the chum.
Good day to you, officer.
Good day, sir. How may I be of assistance?
I need to get into that too.
Sure is a nice day to be walking around the cemetery, wouldn't you agree?
I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. Personally, the noise those bugs are making is starting to drive me crazy.
Would you mind letting me in the tomb, please?
Afraid I can't do that, sir. This tomb is currently part of a police investigation and ain't available for visits until further notice.
I think I saw someone being mugged at the front entrance.
Nice try, sir, but that's clearly a bunch of bull. You're just trying to get me to step away so you can go inside the tomb.
What? No, I would never do such a thing.
In any case, there's another officer stationed at the entrance, so if there was somebody being mugged, he'd see it for sure.
Well, at the very least, it's nice to see the department is hiring competent officers who aren't easily fooled. The plaque says Harrison. Doesn't look very opulent, so I guess it doesn't belong to anyone important. This just goes to show you.
Good day to you.
Afraid I... Please.
Oh, they're talking about idle chat. Alright. Oh, yeah, I guess we didn't re-click on the flag. It's like we pop in real quick. It's like, oh, hold on. We'll be back in a second. But yeah, did anything change on those?
Oh, would you look at that? Oh, would you look at that?
Oh, okay. I guess they became slower. Is my assumption.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery.
Hello, Mr. Fordham.
What can you tell me about your brother?
Andrew, Mama's precious little boy. If you've met him, you pretty much know all you need to. He's had the whole world handed to him on a silver platter. But he's in for a rude awakening someday. Mother can only provide for him for so long.
Do you know anything about ethericity, Miss Montgomery?
You surprised me, Mr. Fordham. I had no idea someone of your profession would know or care about something like that.
I've found that it pays to be open-minded.
To answer your question, yes, I am familiar with the theory of ethericity. In fact, it's recently become a focus of my studies. Despite what the newspapers have been reporting, it's already possible to access it in small quantities from the air around us.
Have you conducted any experiments?
No, my research has been purely theoretical. I don't have the means to do anything practical, I'm afraid.
Deceiver, dissembler, her trousers are alight. I can't understand why Juliet might not want to make her research public, though.
Hey, so I, snuck into your room, stole your key, and then broke into your little house, so I want to talk to you about that.
Miss Montgomery, please don't lie to me. I know you've been conducting experiments with ethericity. I've seen the room you're renting on Forest Lane.
What? But how?
I guess, whatever. Fine. I just literally took it from your room.
I found a spare key in your room, enclosed in a letter from your landlady.
You went through my room? Through my private things? How dare you?
It's part of my job, Miss Montgomery. Now tell me about your experiments.
No, Mr. Fordham, I don't think I will. You had no right to go through my private documents. And I'm not legally obligated to tell you anything. So kindly drop the subject before I decide to press charges against you for unlawful entry.
Ooh, touchy, isn't she? Although, it's generally not a good idea to tell people you went through their things.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Well, that wasn't productive.
Could I ask you some more questions?
It's not like I'm going anywhere.
Albert, did you hate Madame Dupre?
The woman is cruel, sadistic, and bigoted. When she found out about my relationship with Juliet, she sent me a letter threatening to have me killed if I got near her house or her daughter. So yes, Mr. Fordham, I hated her. But even so, I love her daughter. I wouldn't be so cruel as to take Juliet's mother away from her, even if she hated her too.
I beg your pardon?
Juliet and her mother didn't get along at all. I never asked why, but it was obvious there was something going on.
Intriguing.
I mean,
that's all for now.
Okay. Who do I need to tell that ethericity makes...
Can we talk?
Go on.
I wanted to go over the...
Okay.
Madame Dupre's son isn't being very helpful.
Is he refusing to talk?
More like incapable. The family doctor has him pretty well drugged to the gills. I need to find some way to perk him up.
Well, you know, we are in a coffee house.
I have a feeling it will take something a touch more powerful than coffee. I seem to have hit a roadblock. There's an officer posted at Dupre's family tomb, and he won't let me in.
Makes sense. Who's the officer?
I've never seen him before. He's young, has a small scar over his left eye, and a distinct Dixie accent.
Ah, yes, that would be Officer Grant. He's only been with the department for about 2 months. I don't know a lot about him, but he's already got the reputation for being the type of policeman who'd go out of his way to help old ladies cross the street. Typical Southern gentleman, it seems. Perhaps you can use that to your advantage?
That's enough.
Okay.
That's it, I think.
Then you'd...
Okay. Alright, you got anything else to tell me?
Welcome
Probably not.
back, Mr. Fordham.
She's not gonna be much.
Can I have some tea? Alright, guess not. See you later.
Honey, I'm home. You know, I've always wanted to say that.
It's good to have you back. So what's this big case Upton's got you on? Another missing pet?
If only. A Gascon Grand Dame was attacked and almost interred alive.
You mean Madame Dupre? The one whose obituary was in the paper?
The very same.
Goodness, that does sound serious. Tell me if there's anything I can do to help. I know you haven't been feeling your best lately.
You're always a help to me, Addie. Though I assure you I have this well in hand.
I certainly hope so.
Alright. Anything different here? 44 only. Married Colonel Andrew Shepard. Royal officer, 30 years or senior. And that marriage was only a year, huh? A great humanitarian for a policy of exclusively employing humans. Okay. Dr. Bennett Clark talking about athenicity. Murders in the family.
Addie?
Yes, dear?
Use her as a
Do you know
bait,
anything about
alright?
Madame Dupre?
I've read that the Dupres are one of the few wealthy families that exclusively employ real people to serve. Rather commendable, don't you think?
Yes. It makes it even more baffling why she was attacked. Have you heard any gossip from your clients? Anything about who might have wanted to harm her?
Nothing. She's held in the highest regard by the other Grand Dames. If she had actually died, I'd have expected them to petition her canonization.
Hey there, Delamo. I suppose it is about break time.